Hey guys, welcome back. I'm in another conversation and I have a cool guest today, who I've been wanting to talk to for a long time. Welcome. Is it Ivan or Ivan?
It's Ivan.
Ivan Roblas. No, I ran into Ivan, if I'm not mistaken, in Pishard once upon a time. We were trying to apply for a grant. And then since then, obviously Ivan and I are hindi na pala Twitter, whatever it's called now, X X followers. So anyway, sige Ivan, maybe I'm sure you're famous, pero for the benefit of our listeners, a brief background and then let's jump into the topic.
Yes, thank you, Doc. Good morning, everyone. Whatever time zone you're in. Thank you for tuning in. I am Ivan Roblas. I am from the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology Research and Development. It's a mouthful. It's one of the sectoral planning councils of the Department of Science and Technology. We provide direction for the industry for the sectors to cater to. We have several already priority areas, and one of this is science communication. We deemed it necessary that we put support for these types of initiatives because it's one of the emerging needs that we have already. We've observed that over the past 10, 13 years already. There is support, there is funding, but I guess we really do have to put in some sort of scaffolding for us to know where we would want to go and where we would like to take this priority area in the future.
Yeah, thanks Ivan, no. In fact, science communication is very close to my heart, especially with my current, obviously I'm really into the AI space, and I noticed na there's really a gap communication wise. Um, the world is really divided between technical and non-technical people. When I say technical, as in technical with respect to, for example, mathematics, science, programming, and then the rest of the world, the 95% of the world who could benefit from the technologies.
Yeah.
And then especially now with AI becoming mainstream, um, in theory, anyone could use generative AI, no? Like Chat GPT. But I think meron pa rin eh. There's still a hesitation. So I'm actually personally invested in communicating AI, which is a subset of your, ano, no, of your, is it a formal field already in science communication as far as DOST is concerned?
For us sa DOSC, I think wala lang siyang there's just no label to it
Mm-hmm.
for the for so many years. But it's something that DOST and I guess several other science agencies have been doing. For example, in our experience at Issured, over the past 13 years, we've put in around 70 million already, more than that actually, into several efforts relative to the development of science communication in the country. Over several types of support. So, for example, uh, we we help put up some exhibitions, permanent exhibitions to some of our science museums here in the country. My museum, the Philippine Science Centrum, Museo Pambata. We recently opened the Bicol Science and Technology Centrum. This is funded by DOST and we are the ones who are managing it. It's the country's longest running regional science center, um, which is run in partnership with the local government of Naga City. There's another, and we also provide support to our research and development institutes who would want to explore and is needing funding for doing SciComm work. So iba-iba yun. May mga programs, events, IEC materials, so those types of things. It's just that we do not formally call it as such. Pero as a discipline, matagal na siya eh. Here in the Philippines, the University of the Philippines Los Baños has it as one of the courses. Uh, it is also offered as one of the courses in grad school. So, nandiyan siya, it is there as a discipline, pero it's just called by other names.
Actually, the closest I can think of, and it could be ano rin, misquoting, is in medical school. Because I have a brother who's in who's a doctor, medical doctor, and they said they have a few units in med school that deal with parang doctor-patient interaction, parang the bedside manner as they call it, no. Um, pero yun na nga, I'm actually very interested to hear, you know, the discipline of science communication. How early I don't even remember taking a course like that when I was young. Is that something that is part of the core curriculum na ba in DepEd or
Wala pa, parang ganun. Hindi pa siya talaga nailalagay. Although, tama ka dun eh. Actually, the doctors are one of the good examples of good science communication. Imagine them studying for what, 8, 10 years. And then you go to them, you're a non-expert, and you consult with them. They would have to explain to you what they learned in med school in something that you would understand and convince you to follow afterwards. So uh, they're really one of the good examples for science community of a good science communicator. Um, Curriculum wise, yes, there are some colleges, universities who are offering it as part of it. Um, of their curriculum, si UPLB, yung DevCom, College of Development Communication, there's one. There's a department there on science communication. UPOU, where I finished my master's, also has a course on science communication. Um, I think other universities have as well. Pero yun nga siya. It's an emerging field. It's starting to gain traction. And we're hoping that it snowballs kasi you see there's a gap eh, 'di ba? The pandemic showed to us the need for science communication, the hesitation of people towards getting vaccinated at that time is a glaring example of the gap uh, in communicating science. They are aware that they need to get vaccinated, but they would not engage. They would not. There is the hesitation. They would not go in there. Syempre maraming factors that are affecting that. There's miscommunication, misinformation. So those are the things that we would have to address over time. Uh, hindi lang yung COVID-19 vaccine, but vaccines in general. We see some diseases emerging already. Diseases that should have been ano, wiped out of the face of the earth. Pero every now and then, makita, oh my God, meron na naman ganyan. So,
they keep coming back, no? Actually, you
nagmamafire
reminded
ulit.
me of a work we did over the pandemic. I don't know if you came across it. I'll send it to you after we talk. We did a piece with through UNDP with DOH, no? And the whole point was how do you address vaccine acceptance? Parang that's the opposite of hesitancy through communication, and it resulted in a change in the DOH's communication strategy sometime mid 2021 if you notice. Up until that point, very fact based, very scientific yung messages ng DOH. Here's the efficacy rates and all these technical stuff, no. uh but then it wasn't driving behavior, and our approach was to use basically communications theories to address cognitive biases, fears. So naging human based. So suddenly you have pictures now of people getting vaccinated, people who are going back to work, and then addressing I think the parallel issue at that time was either people didn't believe COVID was deadly, they didn't believe it was a real pandemic, parang it's a flu. And the second, even if they did, they don't believe the vaccines actually work. So parang talaga siya, dual messaging. So yeah, I mean, and I think if you permit me to elaborate a bit, I think the pandemic was the first time we had a deluge of scientific material being shared online, 'di ba? Kasi before that it was SARS and wala pang Facebook during that time, no? So now we had the first time where nagmix na yung science info and disinformation via social media, no? They call it infodemics na nga eh. There's a proper term for it. Pero sige, going back to psychom as a discipline. So you said it's a gap. So where do you have you traced it where it started? Because I'm sure as a child, I remember in grade school, I was very interested in science. Um, Science class is one of the most interesting in my view. No, I was bored with history, pero with science, tuntua ako. How did I don't remember parang the time when parang my interest in science medyo waned a bit. So I don't know in general if you've seen that phenomena and how we can address it.
Sige. May study where they show that interest in science is high among children until they get to the age of 9. Hanggang 9. Sa atin, when you reach the age of 9, that's grade 3.
Grade
Yeah.
3.
Yes. Grade 3 is when you actually get into a science subject.
And
Which is
that's when
weird,
the
di
interest
ba?
dies.
So parang, why? um, Yun, so that's that. It and then it dies down around the age of 9, and then it resurfaces when they're about to go to college.
Okay. So
Uh,
mga innate interests come back.
16, 17, ganyan. So, meron kang, ano tawag, there's a age gap or may growth gap years ka. Meron kang science gap year na very telling kasi those are the years that you get into puberty, you get into you learn more things, you explore the world. Yun dun yung pinapayagan ka na mag-field trip ng nanay mo na ikaw na lang mag-isa. So, how do you explore the world if you are um if you have
So
hesitation
more
sayang.
distractions you're saying during that period.
Siguro dapat well, for one is that the study was done pre-social media eh. So you
Right.
would have to update that study. But then, I guess that's something that we should look into. So how do you sustain the interest? Yun yung challenge. Siguro, dati when I used to work with the Science Education Institute, I used to lead the Science Explorer. It's a mobile learning science facility. It's a bus which we bring to the regions to wherein we bring real life scientists from academia, from industry, and we let them be met by uh, students so that uh, they actually see role models. Kagabi, when the eyewitness coverage of the Traveling Science Centrum was aired,
Yeah, I
one
saw
of
that.
the key points that Secretary Solidum pointed out is that our children lack role models in the peripheries. Hindi nila alam. So when you ask them, what do you want when you grow up? They would say professions that they are familiar to. They would like to become a policeman, a soldier, a teacher. And those are the things that they would say. Not really a scientist. Of course, iba yung portrayal of scientists into the media. Diba? Iba rin yun eh. So those are the things that they know. Pag scientist, ganyan yung nakaputing lab coat tapos magulo yung buhok. No, those are the things that, that they know of what a scientist does. So
Tsaka in
doon,
the movies, 'di ba? The scientist is
yeah,
always the person you ignore until the disaster happens.
yeah. So, yun siya. Yun yung tinitingnan ni ano niya nung yun yung try na i-address ng project na yun that we bring actual scientists to the field and let them have a role model man lang. So, ngayon, lumipat ako sa Picard. One of the things that we saw rin is that time, yung boom ng social media naman. So, with our science communication platform, yung Pinoy Science, we ventured into TikTok. Nilapitan kami ng TikTok. They saw that the our Facebook page was really good.
Is this
So,
the Pinoy Scientist FB page or iba pa
no,
'yon?
no, no. Pinoy Science.
Pinoy Science. Oh.
That one's being run by Reina Reyes and Cami Navarro. So ito, this is one that we run. Doon, well, we as a science communication platform, syempre doon namin pinopromote yung mga technologies that we have. But we also feature our scientists there. One of the campaigns na nag-click when we did that, when we went into TikTok, is the Ask Pinoy Science, wherein we let our followers on TikTok ask us questions, science questions, and we let actual scientists answer that. So, noon, ang nakakatawa kasi most of their questions are on space science. So, bakit mainit yung araw? Yung mga ganun-ganun. So, yun, again, to address that SciComm, we would have to be where the people are. Are they on TikTok? Then punta tayo doon. Kausapin natin
Yeah,
sila.
I just checked the Pinoy Science TikTok. Medyo marami na ring followers, 85K. So it's pretty good.
Mhm. So, ayun. We would have to be where the people are. Diba? Sabi nga ni Ariel. We have to be where the people are. Kasi doon mo sila makakausap eh. You can't force them to come to you. So you go to them. You 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 engage them where they are. We would engage them in the language that they understand. Not ano, ito, lagi ko narinig from Miguel Francisco of Flip Science, that you would have to, the goal for science communication is not for you to look intelligent, but to make your listeners or your readers more intelligent, more smarter. Diba? That's the goal naman.
Oh no, where did it all go wrong? Kasi yeah, that's a good point because yeah, as I've shared on Twitter once upon a time, I have encountered experts who love sounding intelligent. Hindi naman yung majority, once in a while. Sige, one thing I want to ask, because within the sciences themselves, no, there's kind of I don't know, an unofficial bias or hierarchy towards STEM. I don't know if that's a true or a false thing because there's also social sciences, no. Do you see a subtle difference in communication style between the two groups? Because certainly they're both expert fields, no. I mean, in your case.
I think there are gaps relative to language.
Mhm.
One thing's for sure, yung nagsa-SciComm na STEM ang background, there is a lot of jargon. Even ang joke nga is that even SciComm itself has a lot of jargons kasi pinag-uusapan models, deficit model, participative model, yung mga ganun. So may movement din to de-jargonize, to remove jargons from the field itself. To social sciences, yes, there is. I think meron din kasi halimbawa, hindi naman lahat familiar with economic phenomenon or social sciences phenomenon. So, phenomena. So, yung mga ganoon, yun yung ina-address sana. Kasi when we when we communicate, especially to non-experts, hindi kayo magtatagpo if you don't understand each other. Kahit na i-bombard mo siya with information na ito yung tama, ito yung factual, ganyan-ganyan. But in the end, if they do not understand what you're talking about, parang hindi eh. So,
Yeah, and then kasi I'm seeing ang daming bifurcations, STEM and then humanities. And then I remember reading this from someone there's field and desk scientists. Oh, di ba? And then I forgot the other one. Yeah, field and desk, and then later you also have a delineation between applied and theoretical. Diba? Yung mga applied scientists do something, maybe it's easier to explain what they do because they actually create prototypes, as opposed to yung mga talagang theoretical where it's all about frameworks, it's all about concepts, lalo na the hardcore, probably mathematics, probably most hardcore, no? Those who look at theoretical math. So, may ganun ba in your work? Meron bang hierarchy of which sciences are the hardest to communicate versus the easier ones?
syempre madaling i-communicate from a media standpoint, halimbawa, madaling i-communicate kapag visual siya. May visual example ka. Kaya yung mga halimbawa yung mga nakakagawa ng prototype, yung mga nakakagawa ng mga sample products, madali eh. Kasi may actual, nakahawakan, ganyan. Pero kapag ang i-communicate mo na halimbawa ay assessment, yan, yung mga ganon. Those things that do not have a visual representation or a 3D representation, medyo mahirap siya. It goes with any field eh. Kasi may mga fields, kahit naman anong field, may mga ganung pag difference eh. So, yun. If the concept or yung kung ang i-communicate mo is something na hindi siya concrete in a way, kung hindi siya nakikita agad, medyo may challenge doon. Medyo iibahin mo you would have to look at it into something na at madaling makaka-relate yung mga kausap mo.
Um, in terms of I guess this is really your not just a passion but a profession. Do you have like a method on how you attack the problem of communication gap? I'm also curious about it kasi from a science practitioner's perspective. Clearly, it's something they kind of don't think about too much. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this problem. No? Do you educate scientists also on how to communicate, or is this mostly aimed at the target audience for the communication?
For us at T-shirt, syempre yung ginagawa namin for the SciComm R&D roadmap, we identify in partnership with our stakeholders is identify the gaps that there is, identify the audiences as well. So the roadmap is a live document naman. It's something that we actually bring back to the stakeholders every year. Before we do a call for proposals, we update the roadmap every year para lang makita ng mga tao na may progress. Ganyan. In terms of methods and approaches, it would really depend on the need and the gap that we are addressing. Halimbawa, wala tayong training for the longest time, we don't have a formalized training for researchers who are able to finish their research projects within the UST. After they finish, okay na yun eh. They've
They
delivered.
move on after that, no?
Oo, di ba? Tapos na. Tapos na kami. Tapos na. Sarado na yung libro, we move on to the next. So what happens to the research? Diba? How accountability natin kasi yun sa taong bayan, something that the Filipino people funded.
Need to hear about it, no? I mean, who's gonna talk about it, right?
Yes. And there is no better way for us to communicate what they have come up other than the scientists themselves. So kami, in partnership with the College of Development Communications sa UPLB, we came up with the Science Communication Fellowship Program. We trained 40 researchers and their info officers coming from 20 projects in um, doing science communication. So from theory to the different ways that they can communicate their science. Ayun. So from that project, from that program, we were napag-graduate naman sila. And one of them actually applied for uh, one of our grants. Kasi ngayon, we have a new grant called Research Extension to Accelerate Communication or REACH program para ma-reach mo yung target audience mo. So, uh, they were successful. No, nakalusot sila. So, they'll be starting their project 2025. And
So it's a new program, basically.
under science communication pa rin.
Okay.
Kasi nga, we really need to put, I mean, not put your money where your mouth is. You would really have to help them. Kasi nga, hindi naman enough. I mean, government resources are scarce. Pero it's even harder to put money for comms. Kasi hindi nga solid yung I mean, it's not something concrete, di ba? Na laging may IEC, may event, di ba? Those are the types of outputs that we put out. But the outcome after that, the impact that it intends to put out after is what we are after, what we are going after for. Yun yung hinahabol natin dito, that people do not only become aware of their surroundings, of the science behind their surroundings, but they are able to understand it. They are able to engage not only government, but family, their community, the country at large.
I thinking out loud, no? Kasi in the in the data field, which is a bit of a hybrid. It's not all academic people in data science. There are probably the academics are probably the minority pa nga, like say 40% at best. 60% are more the corporate people who get into data. There was a recent parang emerging subfield called data storytelling, which actually was contentious then because it had because it was less about kind of the mathematics of it. It was less about the programming. It was more about visualizing the output and telling a story. I'm wondering if um there is an equivalent in like the hardcore sciences, no? Like a science storyteller. Is that something that exists or could exist in
Um,
psychom?
Siguro hindi na siya tinatawag na gano'n, but yes, there is. Actually, yung mga graduates ng SciComm Fellowship Program, they were asked to come up with posters. Sanay sila na when you ask them to come up with a poster is in an academic setting. So, ano yun? Wordy, may graphs ng kaunti, tapos may kulay ng kaunti, and then that's it. Ngayon, they are asked to visualize the data that they have and present it in a manner that is more accessible, more and understandable to non-scientific publics. So there is yung National Research and Development Conference is intended to reach out as well to the non expert public. For the past 8th na namin this year, for the past 7 years, ang ginagawa is that we train our scientists to talk about their research in 5 minutes. Nasa kaikli. You don't go beyond that.
Nako, yari. The abstract pa lang, 10 minutes na.
If you go binabuzzer, they're trained to do that. So, ano siya, na ilalabas nila kung ano talaga importante yung makwento sa mga tao. The challenge there is one, keeping up with the time. Two is highlighting which are the points that they would have to make in their conversation. And three is to sound scientifically accurate but not too, well, jargony about it. So yun yung challenge talaga in doing that. And again, that's science storytelling. There another type of storytelling is what we do with social media. Halimbawa, for TikTok, since the platform is only back then nung nagsisimula kami 1 minute lang siya eh. So the challenge there is to to compress all of the things that you would
In
have
30 to 60 seconds.
30 to
Kaya,
60
kaya
seconds,
dapat.
60 patay agad eh. Ngayon, you can upload as much as 3 minutes, ngayon 5 minutes mga. So yun, the in coming up with really engaging videos for TikTok, you would have to come up with a way to tell your audience the science behind it without sounding too simplistic about it, but also being engaging and accessible.
Yeah, that's actually a skill in itself. You know, I
Meron.
struggle nga. I'm actually on TikTok myself, no, and ang hirap talaga, the 1 minute format. Kasi beyond 1 minute, it affects the virality of the video eh. People will probably skip it pag more than 1 minute.
Magandang manood ng ano. Ako, ang paborito kong pinapanood sa TikTok yung mga, ano to, food vloggers eh. Yung mga nagluluto.
Yeah, okay. Because
And
they have a
one
good
thing,
format, no?
oo, ang ganda ng format nila eh. The format is that they present to you at the first 7 seconds because that's the crucial part eh.
Mm.
The first 7 seconds, they present to you what is the finished product.
Start with the end. Yeah.
Yes. So you get hooked to it. So after the 7th second, sisimulan na nila yung pagluluto nila. Siyempre tapos maganda yung pacing, ganyan, maganda yung editing. Then matatapos siya towards the part wherein maluluto na siya. Eh di
Mm.
ba ang ginagawa sa TikTok, if you don't skip it and let it just play, it loops. So nagbubuka siya na yung end niya pasimula na ulit.
Mm. Mm.
Yan siya.
So
Galing.
it's kind of an endless repeating loop, no? It
Mhm.
has to work that way, no? So people get to appreciate it. Okay. Let's talk about AI naman, no? A little bit. From your perspective as a science communicator, how are you appreciating the kind of the emergence of AI in the mainstream? And kasi ang dami rin yung mga similarly to the sciences, there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of fears about it. So how are you appreciating that? And has that also penetrated the science com space, no? In discussing AI and all its applications.
I think there are conversations already on the implications of AI in science communication. Tinitignan na doon, halimbawa, is more um, on facts, on accuracy. Syempre kasama din yun ng usapin ng labor, because there are, I think that's proliferate din naman, and that's, proliferate in other fields na may fear that labor would be affected once AI seeps in. I think there is some basis to that. May mga, I do have friends who are from companies na tinatamaan talaga nung pagpasok ng AI. But then again, tingin ko, one of the things that itong pagpasok ng AI to us did was one, for people to appreciate what really it is. I mean, siguro, hindi lang ako aware, tumaas na rin siguro yung pag-google ng mga tao on what is AI, how can I AI this? Dati, is there an app for that? Ngayon, is there an AI for that na ang hinahanap? Dati, pag tinatanong ka, what is one thing that you cannot Google? Di ba? Ngayon, ang tinatanong na siguro sa mga tao, what is one thing that you cannot AI? Di ba? Those are the things na nakikita natin ngayon.
Did you see that, there was this poster just maybe a day or two ago na yung number of searches per capita for our generative AI, the number one country was the Philippines. Then second was Singapore, and then
We
third was
really
Canada.
like things easy. Alam mo yun?
Oo nga eh. So, I think that goes hand in hand with the, di ba may mga yung Hootsuite survey na we're the number one country in the world for social media usage and internet usage. So I think that says something, no? Although yun na nga, parang at the same time we're also lagging in the in the math and reading rankings, no? For the kids. I don't know nga if one causes the other, pero I found that really surprising, pleasantly surprising na the AI, potential AI adoption could be high. Kasi number one talaga, number one, on top of all of the European countries and and of course North American, for us to be that, no, is amazing.
Siguro, ang magandang tignan doon is what drives that search. What are they looking for? Why are they looking for AI? Ano ba yung hinahanap nila pag naghahanap sila ng AI? Those are the things that we should, yun, research yun eh. Those are not just, parang, how do you call that? Yung mga data lang na you can harvest from from searches. Pero ano ba yung hinahanap nila sa AI? Bakit sila pumupunta doon? Anong tipong searches ba yung karugtong ng paghahanap nila sa AI? So that is something that is actionable, I think. And we can um, harness the capabilities we have in terms of also promoting other types of sciences. Kasi, di ba, parang, bakit kaya sila naghahanap ng AI? And then, you'll understand, okay. So, does this apply to other sciences as well? Ganyan.
Do you see, kasi another big topic in AI is the ethics of it. So from a broader psychom standpoint, is there a topic on ethics also on how to communicate science that you discuss?
Internationally, I think there is already some discussions on ethics and AI, especially on well, in the academic field, because malaking question nga yung do we allow journal articles on psychology that are basically generated by AI or was aided by AI? Does it translate halimbawa to halimbawa sa yung mga psychom activities? How do you address that? Hindi ko lang kung tama yung nakita ko sa internet that the introduction of Secret Invasion was AI generated. Parang, talaga?
Yung trailer?
Diba? Talaga? And yun din, yung rally sa SAD naman, di ba? Because of yung fears over yung Joan is awful is that really coming true na? Yeah. Siyempre, it also will affect, diba? It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when na those types of challenges would be coming to SciCon. Kasi we use practically the same platform in communicating our science. So does that mean na ano ngayon yung ethical questions when you come up with a SciCon material that is purely AI generated? Or you have psychomaterials from that is not ethically sourced. Halimbawa, yun nga yung scan mo na pala siya dati pa tapos pinatong mo na lang uli doon sa bago mong material without providing proper compensation. So those things are a matter of when, hindi just a matter of if. Kasi if it's there, one way or another, it would reach the discipline as well.
Um, Coming back to sciences, no. If I bring up some of the constant challenges of kind of your pardon the term, your typical academic, they have a a pressure to produce research. They have a pressure to um basically teach while they conduct research, and then also the general, I don't know, assumption that as a career, scientists, unless you're working abroad, parang it's really a tough gig for many scientists, not all, many. Do you see that intersecting with psychom also? Like, how can we make being a scientist sexy again, and also give it proper, in a way, proper recognition as a viable field? Because I know many people would have wanted to get into science or continue a science career, pero because of economic challenges, they had to shift. No, so any thoughts on that?
Um, Maganda yung data that we got from the Global Innovation Index, wherein yung R&D environment itself is improving. Funding is there. You have more laboratories going into and that are being put up ganyan. Pero syempre that's only one aspect. There are several aspects in doing research, some of which is not even science. One is people management, labor. Um, ano pa rin kasama pa rin sa challenges natin ngayon is to have more permanent positions for our scientists. Not only those who have PhDs, but also those who are actually working on science, research assistants natin, those who do comms as well. Um, Alam mo ba napakakonti lang namin who does psychom in the Philippines. Hindi siya ganun ka ano eh. The field is emerging, it's there, pero nahahalo pa rin siya to public relations. I mean, that's not even, I'm not even saying that it's bad. Hindi ba siya masama? But then, wala siyang delineation. I've always been a
You become a marketing department for the most
all
part,
in
no?
one. Kailan na kung gobyerno ka, I mean, that's even, that's even a given na, ano ka, na you'd have to do everything. Which is not, sana sana mas may elbow room.
Mhm.
Kasi if we put on more work to people, wala na yung time for reflection eh.
Yeah.
Diba? Wala na yung time for you to sit down, think of ways to innovate what you are doing. Kasi if you go around the routine na lang lagi, parang really defeats the purpose of us being at the forefront of innovation. Diba? Nandiyan din yung usapin ng, yun nga, other, yung mga non-science related na challenges. Halimbawa, uh, challenge natin ngayon yung pagkuha ng mga equipment, yung procurement.
Mhm.
Challenge din natin dito yung other mga, yung mga policies. We hope to have more science policies in the end na ano lang siya, hindi na siya hinuhugot sa hangin, but actual policies coming from science-based discussions. So those things, kasi those are uh,
Complementary, no? Issues.
complementary. Nagtutulungan talaga itong mga ito for
Mhm.
us to create a really robust R&D environment here in the country. May progress, sabi ko nga, like kung sinasabi yun, malayo na tayo, pero malayo pa.
Right. Yeah, I mean, ano nga eh. I was just talking to in an earlier conversation with sina Ben Tehanki on we suffer a misalignment. Not just misalignment AI wise, no, pero parang the macro environment is misaligned. The example I used was nursing, no? High demand for nurses, but for some reason that they're underpaid. And then in a way it's a structural mechanism na many nurses are actually forced to go abroad. It's already in place, no? I don't know if science at large is already falling into that trap, which is probably a bad thing kasi nga it's a brain drain to us. Um, so I'm sorry if this makes it sound more like a marketing challenge then, no, for SciComm. But what do you think are some clear steps we could do, Philippines wise, no, thinking out loud on how we can promote science better, both from parang the outside looking at scientists, and then scientists also parang how they should change if they need to change the way they do things to make maybe the market more appreciative of it.
Um, Siguro well, in terms of getting more human resource, creating a critical mass of or researchers, scientists, and engineers in the country. Of course, maraming ways for us to promote sana the sciences. Sana we will have we get more the young to be interested in science. I hope we get more of them na ano nga, i-consider as a career in the future. And then syempre, while doing that, we should be preparing the environment where they are getting into. It's like caring for a seedling na dapat yung tataniman mo sa kanya na kagubatan, the forest should be um, nurturing as well. So, kasama na doon yung ginagawa natin. Halimbawa, providing laboratories, providing different funding mechanisms for them to get into. But at the end of the day, syempre dapat we have enough budget for us to do science as well. Pero on top of the budget are also the policies. Sana we'll have policies that are crafted towards allowing our scientists to bloom. Natuwa ako when yung law on expanding the Provincial Science and Technology Office kasi that allows hindi man lahat, pero some of our researchers to go back to their provinces kasi may plantilla positions na for them to get into. So papasukan na lang nila yun, apply na lang sila. When the law mandating itong yung RA 10612 mandating science scholars to teach for 2-3 years yata sa mga high schools ng DepEd. That's a welcome development. Sana we'll have more of those things in the future. And or sana magawa naman ngayon. In the SciComm roadmap, one of the key goals that we have there is to have a Science Communication Act here in the Philippines. Internationally, there is a movement na to support for SciComm. When I went to when I attended the Public Communication for Science and Technology conference in noong April sa Rotterdam, Netherlands is already putting up a national science communication center with an initial funding of 10 million euros. Laki nun. Pero sana tayo we gear towards that type of of institutionalizing national a science communication here in the country. We know that we need it. It's not even PR. It's not public relations. It's providing a center that can help our science communicators flourish, not only here in Manila, but in the provinces as well.
There was and we're almost at the hour now, just being conscious now. There was a recent survey on the tech side, no, looking at tech talent as a percentage of population, and it showed the Philippines obviously at the lowest, one of the lowest percentages, and then it was crossed with the amount of ano naman tech investment as a percentage of GDP, which in a way is a mirror of kunyari yung mga research grants provided by the OST. And Philippines is also at the lowest end of that, no? How much parang I would say undervaluation do you think is happening? Because I didn't believe the tech percentage. I think there has to be at least 1%, uh, tech talent in the Philippines. They're just not recognized or they're working for other countries. Pero in the sciences, it might be bigger, no? Do you have any idea of kind of that where we rank in that position? And kasi the argument was the more talent you have, the more investment you could attract. And clearly, the investment is not yet happening, at least in the Philippines, for tech. I wonder if in sciences you see a separate or similar trend.
I think ano siya eh, parang nakalump nga siya as ano eh, as RSE, Researcher, Scientists, and Engineers. From the Global Innovation Index, ang natatandaan ko is that we are already there. I mean, we have enough already in terms of per, ano yun, hindi lang kasi ay per million population. So, it's there. I mean, the efforts din naman ng DOST to shore up the numbers in terms of RSE, human resource. Nandun na. It's a matter of creating of an environment na lang. It's a matter of putting in policies, matter of putting in budget para masustain natin yung talent natin and for them to actually do R&D here in the country. Okay lang nag-R&D sila sa labas, pero babalik din sila naman dito. Yun lang yung thought about it. I mean, yun naman ang ginawa ng mga kapitbahay natin dito, Thailand, Korea, di ba?
They send their people here, no? And then they bringing stuff back.
That's the thought, though. That's the thought. Sana nga ganun din yung nangyari. I think, and yun nga, we're creating that environment naman din.
Okay, sige. So maybe obviously this is hopefully the first of many conversations, but would you like to leave any parting thoughts at this point from a science com standpoint and maybe a little bit on AI before we finish?
Okay. Thank you, Doc. Again, thank you for everyone who are watching this. And we do hope that in the coming years pa, we'll have more conversations on science communication. Pag-usapan natin ito, let's embrace science. It's in our daily lives. It affects us. It turns the world around. So, pagtulungan natin that we put in more science into whatever we do. And we should not fear AI. It's nothing more of a tool for us to improve whatever we are doing right now. It is something that we should study before we fear it. Most of the time, we fear something that we do not know. But I guess it's time for us to know what is AI and know how it can help us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ivan Roblas, and I'll see you on Twitter at least, and hopefully in another conversation.
Next up.